Welcome to Renwood Winery. We're here for another episode of What's That? Today we're going to talk about Amador County Old Vine Zinfandel presentation, pouring, and tasting. I'm Dave Crippen, winemaker at Renwood.
I'm Jon Affonso, the assistant winemaker at Renwood.
First off, stemware. We use Riedels, rhymes with needle. They're beautiful, they're gorgeous, but any good quality stemware is adequate for wine tasting. Don't fill the glass too full. You only want about a third of the glass full of wine. The reason for that is, and Jon will explain in a minute, is we want air to mix with the wine while we're tasting it. So don't overfill your glass. If you want a big glass of wine, get a bigger glass. We're going to open a bottle of wine today using a waiter's knife, or corkscrew as it's known. It's got three parts: a hinge, the corkscrew, and a knife. The knife is used to remove the capsule. We spend a lot of time and effort on our capsules, and I hate when someone just takes the knife and rips the capsule off. I always like to just use the knife, cut the capsule away, and there you go. Beautiful. Fold the knife up so you don't stick yourself in the hand. Put the screw through the top of the cork, twist it in, like this, and you get it to the point where the lever will hold. Use the back of the corkscrew. Perfect. You can take a look at the cork, just make sure there's no holes in it. It's a gorgeous sound. You've been at a restaurant, haven't you, Jon? The waiter pours you a glass of wine, and the first thing he does is yanks the cork out and hands it to you.
Yes.
And he expects you to look at it, or she expects you to look at it. Well, there's not much you can tell from a cork other than if there's wine going all down the side, maybe that bottle's good. One thing you do want to check is make sure it's a Renwood cork in a Renwood bottle. Not somebody else's cork. But really, smelling the cork isn't going to get you much. The proof is in the wine itself. So I'm going to pour some wine for Jon, a third of the glass, and Jon's going to lead us through the tasting portion of us.
Thank you, Dave.
There you go.
So, the first thing you really want to do when somebody pours you a nice glass of wine is to thank them.
Oh, and you're welcome.
And then the next thing you want to do is to look at the color. Usually what we do is we use a white background surface to kind of allow light to reflect off of the white surface, and you can see the color a little bit more clearly. What you look for Amador County Zins typically is a nice bright red garnet color. Usually it's fairly clear. You shouldn't see any sediment with a brand new wine. You know, if a wine's been aged, say 8 years, 9, 10 years or more, it's not uncommon to see a little bit of sediment in the glass. But typically for a young, current vintage wine, you shouldn't really see any sediment.
Gorgeous.
Nice.
Just gorgeous.
Yes. So once you kind of get a sense of it's got a nice, rich, deep hue, the next thing you really want to do is to smell it. So the swirling action really helps allow air to get into the wine. And as Dave described earlier, you really only want to fill your glass just part way to allow that action. Further, by keeping the glass on the table and holding it by the stem, it really allows you to swirl the glass and not get any on your shirt.
Yeah, if you're going to swirl without a table, practice first.
Yes.
No sense in being at a party. Notice I like to wear black shirts. keeps the splash off. But
so the next thing you do is we sniff, and you don't want to be shy. You don't want to stick your nose on the edge and a lot of people make that mistake. You really just want to bury your nose right in the glass and get a full sniff. And I usually like to close my eyes so I can focus a little bit more. This wine has a lot of bright red fruit characteristics, as I described before, and also mixed in has some underlying spices, things like clove, black pepper, even a hint of holiday spice, things like cumin, ginger.
Think of Thanksgiving and
exactly.
Baking pumpkin pie, things like that. Those are the kind of spices that you find along with the red fruits in Amador County Zinfandel. But don't forget, we also have parts of the winemaking process that go into this: the barrels, the ripeness of the grapes. Some of those things you can get a feel for when you're doing the aromas.
Right, and the terroir itself, which speaks to where the fruit is grown. And in Amador County, in my opinion, the terroir here is very strong. So then the next thing we were going to go on to is tasting, and Dave's going to take us through that.
Absolutely, this is my most fun part. Now remember, here at Renwood, we're professionals. We taste hundreds of wines a day, and we spit. And I would recommend, if you're going to do that at a big tasting, you bring a red Solo or a blue Solo cup with you, and then you can spit into that and pour it out. Don't spit it back into your glass, and don't spit into the spittoon at the table, because it makes a big mess, and it's just not
very sightly.
Yeah, it's not very sightly. But But we're not going to spit today because we're enjoying ourselves. So swirl the wine, good nose of it. Small sip, not a big gulping mouthful. Swirl the wine in your mouth, chew it. Get a little bit. You might have heard John drawing a little bit of air into his mouth at the same time. That's something you may want to practice. It's easier said than done sometimes. And you're looking for the flavors in the wine. How it feels in your mouth. Is it harsh? Is it soft? Is it make your can you taste the fruit flavors that from the grape? You should taste the barrel, the oak that we put into the wine, depending on the type of wine. A lot of times red wines are served a little too warm for me, so they should be cool. 60 degrees would be a perfect temperature for red wine, 62 degrees. White wine's probably more like 45 to 55 degrees. And then I like to go for a second, because usually the first time you've tasted it, you have other things in your mouth. Maybe you've had a little Starbucks coffee, maybe you just had a bite of food, something like that. And all those things are going to change the way the wine tastes. And that's the whole art of pairing food and wine together, is getting a food that complements the wine complements the food. But I'll take another sip, a little swirl and take another sip. Really nice, really smooth wine. This is a great wine. It's a standard bearer of our winery.
Right.
It's really, I'd say, what do you think, the rock?
Yeah, it's definitely one of what we're really well known for. The wine has not only tastes good, but also has a nice, luscious, and juicy texture to it. It rolls off the tongue. It's very soft. The tannin structure is soft, but yet complex. And that's really what I think we look for when we make this wine.
Where can we get this wine, John?
Anywhere.
This is a great wine. You can get it anywhere, all retailers, and on our website. Please visit us again at Renwood Winery for What's That? Thanks, John.
Thank you.